Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Today we're talking about a breaking news update, or maybe not a breaking news update. We're going to analyse the latest information that has come out about Chelsea's Ben Chilwell. A lot of people have seen him in training, but they also have to realise that he has had an ACL injury. So Ben, let's talk about the situation then. Are you happy to see him back in training? Is this a positive step forward? Is he going to be back on the football pitch very soon?
It's part of the process. For those that may not have seen the image that was released by the Chelsea social media channels, Instagram, they've seen Ben Chilwell effectively kicking a ball or a still of an action shot. Absolutely no context in that. So yes, great to see him outside, but you cannot take anything from that whatsoever. And indeed, we actually have, since that image has been released, we have heard from Thomas Tuchel since, suggesting that, look, it was just an opportunity where the sun was shining for Ben Chilwell to go outside, smell the grass, get a feel for it, get those juices flowing again. But look, there's absolutely no possibility, certainly in my mind, that Ben Chilwell will be kicking a ball again this season.
And so, looking at our data first and foremost, what kind of numbers come out there with an ACL injury, just to give context to this situation? How long is somebody like Ben Chilwell expected to be out?
Yeah, I want to take a step back. Initially, when Ben Chilwell suffered that injury, the club decided to go with a conservative approach to his recovery. Now, I think that in itself is fairly indicative that they knew that once he went under the knife, his season was over, and he would then focus on, rehab and getting ready, targeting pre-season and getting ready for the new campaign, so 2022 to 23. So, like I say, that in itself suggests that we're looking at a minimum of 6 months onwards. Of course, we have seen accelerated returns to play in recent times. Florian Lejeune, Newcastle, that was in and around that 120-day mark. But those are very much the exceptions rather than the norm, and they are associated with a lot of risk factors. So it very much is a Raj-Bra risk and reward scenario. Typically, when we look at the data, we're looking in and around that sort of maybe 8 to 10 month period. I think Virgil van Dijk was up that higher end, around sort of 10 months. But that is a return to play. That's not a return to performance. We always keep on banging that drum.
Well, this was the follow-up question that I was going to have. And we've recently done an interview with Dr. Matt Provencher of the World Renowned Steadman Clinic. Says himself that the return to play with a lot of these players is not immediate. You won't see them return to those huge levels.
But it takes probably 12 to 18 months for that tendon to turn into a ligament. The body it undergoes a ligamentization process. And it takes 12 to 18 months. It's very interesting. And that's probably when you're seeing your function. And when you look at NFL data, when you probably look at your data, their best season is the next season back. It's not the first season back. It's the second season back because of the biology. We can't rush it.
And so looking at that clip there from Dr. Matt there, Ben, is this something as well that the data from yourself backs up, that the first year back from an ACL injury is kind of finding your feet, but also avoiding re-injury? That's one of the big risk factors after you come back.
Yeah, massively. Those players that have had an expedited return to play, accelerated within that 9 month period, are at a significant risk of re-injury or recurrence. And every month past that 9 month deadline, then that risk of re-injury is halved. So that's huge. So every time you go beyond that, the chances of re-injury lessen and lessen and lessen. And as we've seen, I touched upon the Virgil van Dijk because that's one of the most high profile and recent ones. It's only now that people are beginning to suggest that maybe Virgil van Dijk is approaching anywhere near his pre-injury levels, and he's been back on the pitches now for nigh on 5 sort of 6 months.
And again, this is something that Dr. Matt Provencher of the World Renowned Steadman Clinic says himself.
And so the pendulum swung probably too far. We were too slow with casting. Then we went way too fast, 3 to 4 months. And now we've kind of settled into that 6 to 9 month time frame. Certainly the lesser complicated or higher end rehab, or if you're making, hitting all your milestones and all the muscles and everything else, which is the most important from months, 3 to 6 or 7, then you're able to, safely return.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of questions or maybe or suggestions are brought up with regards to Professor Moriani out in Italy, where he tends to, he has lots of examples of players returning way ahead of the typical norm. Like I say, Florian Lejeune was one of those players, but he's worked with a lot of elite high profile athletes who are all in and around that 150 to 160 day return to play mark. However, like I say, these are all decisions that are taken with regards to that risk and reward. So the understanding that if you are and if you can return within that period, it comes with a lot of associated risks. And some players and some clubs are prepared to take that on board, while others may decide, let's nature take its course, let's extend that, let's make sure that we have prepared and protect that knee as best we can. And we look beyond that maybe 4 to 5 month period. And we focus more around that 7, 8, 9 or 10 month period.
And so even if Chilwell was returning soon, I think the interesting point for the Fantasy Premier League community is you probably wouldn't want him in your team immediately. He's obviously probably a world-class left back, but he won't be reaching those levels just yet. He'll be treated by, as your amazing saying, with kid gloves by the club for an extended period of time, just because that's the realities of managing this sort of injury. And so that amazing data, that, top percentile around Europe's top 5 leagues data that he outputs, will not be returning for a little while as of yet. But in terms of that, we hope that you will be returning to the channel quite often. So hit that subscribe button, do like the video, and do comment below, because as you've seen here, we give impartial, no misinformation, and we try to keep you up to date with all the latest Premier League injury news. This is the hub for it, so that you can stay up to date with your bets, your fantasy Premier League, or whatever you do when you interact with the Premier League. But for now, we're going to wish you the best of luck, and we will see you again soon.